Right, Islam Moors. Happy Holy Day. We're going to go ahead and get started. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Everyone, please rise and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. I think we all know this, but heels together, feet in a V formation. That's going to be a 45-degree angle. Hold your right and left arm up perpendicular, 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left, and repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my
protector,
my guide,
guide,
and my salvation,
and my salvation.
by night and by day,
By night and by day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy
through
prophet,
his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
through Ali.
Ali. Amen.
Islam,
Amen.
Islam, Islamism.
Islam.
All right. I want to announce that the meeting is now open, but first and foremost, we rise, we give the highest praise to the Most High, the Father of the universe, Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for returning our divine creed and nationality to us so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We also give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, and that is our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to all the Adab Sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish divine and national movement. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by the Prophet, and that is our brother E. Millie Ill. We also give honors to our brother, the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, brother K. Dandridgel. Honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and honors to all you ills and bays in attendance. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Now I'm going to read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Salvation, Allah, Unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2, all meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or falsely accuse his brother or sister on any occasion that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your prophet, holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Through the guidance of his father God Allah, Noble Drew Ali, founder Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. More Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islamism. All right, Moors, we're going to be studying chapter 24 today. And before we get started, if anyone has any comments or any announcements or anything, feel free to speak up.
Islam. I just want to announce my background check came through, so now I'm about to get in this, I'm going to the next phase, nationality. Just wanted to let y'all know that. Islam.
Islamism, brother.
Islam, was that for the name correction?
Islam. Yeah.
Islam. All right. It's beautiful. Islam. Yeah, make it official. Definitely that's a beautiful thing. All right. Oh yeah. Whenever you get a driver's license photo or get a renewed, a new one with your bay on it, make sure you wear your fez in your photo or your turban. Just let them know it's for religious purposes.
Islam. Praise Allah.
Islam. Okay. So yeah, if anyone has anything else to say, just feel free to just speak up. We're gonna go ahead and go to chapter 24. It's a real short chapter. All right, the obedience of children towards their father. And we just have 8 verses, but powerful message. With this chapter 24, we're basically wrapping up a series because chapters 20 through 24 were focused on family values. All right, like earlier in the chapter, we get instructions on, instructions for men and women, for the right type of man or right type of woman to marry. Instructions for children, which could be applied to all of us, right? Because we're all children of Allah, which applies to this title as well, the obedience of children towards their father. On one hand, that's speaking about your actual physical children, and then that's also instructions to all of us, just like the Quran questionnaire, more questions for children, but then we're all children of Allah, so they also apply to all of us. Now it's a questionnaire for your children because we need to teach our children this. So it would be pointless if we're just doing it and we're not passing it on to the children. But also, we're all Allah's children, so we all need to study this. And I see a hand raised. Hang on one second. Also, in the next chapter, 25, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, and then later on, we have the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. Are we divine right now? Not necessarily, right? Like by our actions, by the way that our communities are as a whole, and the cultures and things that we are copying and perpetuating, self-destructive. So we're not divine. So we have to get back to our divine nature. And so that's what these instructions are for. And so that's when it says to our children, or the Quran questionnaire for Moorish children, this is for all of us, right? We have to relearn. We have to get back to our divine nature. So We had a hand raised.
Islam, arise and give praise to Allah, honors to his prophet, noble Drew Ali, honors to all you Moors in attendance. I also want to add, um, in raising up adepts, we start off as children. So, I mean, as far as our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so noble Drew Ali is raising us up so that we can elevate to higher consciousness. So we all are children. And then when we go through the adept chamber, it's like being born again. Islam.
Islam. Thank you for sharing. All right. Okay, so moving forward, chapter 24, the obedience of children towards their father, verse 1. From the secrets of Allah, let man learn wisdom and apply to himself the instruction they give. All right. Hang on one second. All right. Sorry. Okay, so from the secrets of Allah, let man learn wisdom and apply to himself the instruction they give. Just looking at the definition on wisdom, we have the quality of having experience, knowledge, or good judgment, the quality of being wise, or the body of knowledge and principles that develop with a specific, within a specified society or period. This is just the definition for wisdom, the body of knowledge and principles that develops within a specified society or period. Okay, so when we're learning the secrets of Allah, let man learn wisdom, right? The body of knowledge and principles that develops within a specified society or period, and apply to himself the instructions they give. All right, so that's what we're taking in, and that's why we hold to this and study. Go to the desert, my son. Observe the young stork of the wilderness. Let him speak to thy heart. He beareth on his wings his aged sire. He lodgeth him in safety and supplieth him with food. Okay, and I'm thinking sire. I know in breeding, the sire is the male. I'm thinking sounds like it's referring to uh, the parent. Okay. So sire is the male parent of an animal. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. So I'm gonna read that verse again, verse 2. Go to the desert, my son, observe the young stork of the wilderness, let him speak to thy heart. He beareth on his wings his aged sire. He lodgeth him in safety and supplieth him with food. So it's saying that the young stork actually um looks after his aged parent, right? The male parent would be the sire. The piety of a child is sweeter than the incense of Persia, offering to the sun. Yea, more delicious than odors wafted from a field of Arabian spices of the western gales. Be grateful to thy father, for he gave thee life, and to thy mother, for she sustaineth thee. Hear the words of his mouth, for they are spoken for thy good. Give ear to his admonition, for it proceedeth from love. He hath watched for thy welfare, he hath toiled for thy ease. Do honor therefore to his age, and let not his gray hairs be treated with irreverence. Forget not thy helpless infancy, nor the forwardness of thy youth, and indulge the infirmities of thy aged parents. Assist and support them in the decline of life. So shall their hoary heads go down to the grave in peace, and thine own children, in reverence of thy example, shall repay thy piety with filial love. And just what this is describing. This is how a lot of us still do this for our parents and for our loved ones, but this is how our society was in the past, even in the past like 100 years, right? We looked after the elderly. Um, Sometimes you have three generations under one roof, right? As the elders, the grandparents, as they moved up in age, they stayed in the house, and they were still there watching out, giving advice, respected members of the community, and that's just how we lived in general, right? And the mainstream society, especially Western society, is getting us out of that. It's pushing us out of that. They came through like in waves, like in the last 50 years, starting to get people towards putting your elders in in the retirement homes or nursing homes or assisted living, whatever they want to call it now, right? Putting them in there. And the sad thing is that when people get in there, they usually don't, I don't want to say they don't last long, but the lifespan goes down for people, right? Because it's almost like it's set up for people to come in there and die. And so it's getting away from our divine nature. This is not how we do. Then you have people in there, there's some people being abused, or they're not really being cared for, because those places are expensive too. It's crazy. Um, but for the most part, we've fallen away from this. And as with the previous chapters in here, this is trying to get us back in line. Going back through chapters, starting in chapter 20 on up through 24, right? The prophet is giving us lessons to set our house in order, right? We had some people on Facebook, they're just asking questions, that saying, like, some people, they're in Columbus, they're saying like, well, we don't see the Moors out here. What are y'all doing in the community? And one of the responses that I have is, well, first we have to set our house in order. That's what we're focused on, getting ourselves straight. Then we'll establish a community. We have to get at least one community. Then maybe we can have several communities, right? But we have to get at least one. So first, before you can get there, though, you have to have your household straight. Like, I can't be sitting up here and, I have children all over the city or all over the country, and I'm not messing with them. I'm not even in their life, let alone teaching them this stuff. I'm not even in their life. Like, that means my house ain't in order. I need to shut up. I need to get that straight first, because that's most important. Forget trying to save the world. You have to get your house in order. You can't really do anything if you don't have that in order. Not saying that I'm perfect or any of us are perfect, but that's what the real focus should be, because that's where everything starts. That's the foundation. And if the foundation isn't strong, what are we standing on, right? So first, we get that in order. We have that strong. And then we establish the community. And then we can build from there, right? Then maybe we can assist others. But that's the first thing, starting in chapter 20. The prophet is giving us the lessons to start to get our house in order, right? The instructions and warnings for all young men, but this is really instructions for women as well. You really pay attention. And the house, of course, that's your family. And he's letting you know now that the backbone of the family is actually the man, right? Western society would like to remove the man completely. They would love to lock us all up in prison, or like this myth that they've been perpetuating for years. I've heard so many people repeat this, that the black male is an endangered species, which is crazy, because our birth rates are so high that even with all of the things that are going against us, even with all the things we're up against, we are still nowhere near being an endangered species, right? But they perpetuate that myth, and then they physically do things to try to remove the man from the household, to stop the man from doing the things that we are commanded to do when we were just reading the divine constitution, right? What is the man's instructions? Anybody? What does it say in Acts 7? Husband, you must what? Support your wife and children, right? So if there's an effort to remove the man from doing that, right, he's no longer the backbone of the family. And if he's not able to serve his purpose, then that means the woman's going to have to step in. And so she's out of order. The man's out of order or not even in the picture. Everything is all off, right? We're set up to fail. So this is to get us back in order. Um, Going back to beginning, chapter 20, 21, where the man is being warned, right? Or young men, they're getting a warning from the prophet to beware of unrestrained desires and the wrong woman. And then the wrong woman is the harlot. And that's what's being pushed on us all. The women are getting like, that song with Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. I mean, this is what women are being sold. This is what is being pushed on you, right? That this is what you should do. This is what you should want to do, want to be. And this is what men should want. This is what you should want. And that's the wrong, this is set up to fail. That's self-destructive, right? And the prophet also gave us instructions. He instructed men to do something when they find the right woman. He said to marry her. He didn't say date her. He didn't say feel her out for like 20 years. He said marry her. Make her a respectable woman. Marry her. And then you could ask the question, how does a man know if she's the right woman to marry? And that will be reflected in chapters 20, 21, and 22. Right? It's right here on the screen. The right woman to marry is described here. And this is extremely important. Once again, these are things that we overlook. We tend to overlook. We don't really see the importance of it. But as the Minister Farrakhan has said, that we're not taught the science of mating, right? We're not taught that for a reason. This is where the nation starts. This is extremely important. So this is nothing for us to look over. The innocence of her eyes is like that of the turtle. Simplicity and truth dwell in her heart. Virtue and modesty enlighten her charms. The luster of a beautiful woman is brighter than the stars of heaven, and the influence of her power, it is in vain to resist. Right? So your power and your beauty is not in, just your body, right? These are things that don't fade with time. Virtue and modesty, these things make you more powerful. And this is what we're all being pushed against. They're pushing men to, desire the harlot, and they're pushing women to want to be the harlot. So it's like, it's crazy. It's the exact opposite of what would make us successful. All right. And then the prophet also, in doing this in chapter 21, we get instructions for women, right? Where it says marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet. But these are instructions for women. These are like warnings of her, what to watch out for, right? And they're right there in verses 1 through 14 are instructions for single women of the marrying age, right? And then verses 15 through 25 are the instructions for married women. So when you get a chance, go back over that, and that's in chapter 21. Okay, so 20 through 24, once again, these are family values. This is for getting the house in order. Okay. And then two, if a woman wants to know, like, how does she know if she's chosen the right man to marry? He'll be a reflection of the prophet's teachings. Because we're all commanded to establish a family and become faithful members of society. All right. So we're given instructions on how to do so. We're not just left out there, you know, to figure this out on our own. We're given instructions on how to do so. And also in chapter 23, with the holy instructions for thy children, we're given the 12-step ladder of the 12 virtues. You'll also see that the word teach is in this chapter 12 times, right? And these 12 virtues, remember when we talked about this in chapter 23, the 12 virtues, let me get this up here for you, right? With that 12-step ladder, right? Remember, teach is in chapter 23, 12 times. Teach them obedience, modesty, gratitude, charity, prudence, temperance, justice, sincerity, benevolence, diligence, science, religion. All right. With each of these virtues, once you acquire this, once you master this, you defeat your lower self. And you do it through the 3 steps, which is belief, faith, and fruition. And with each step, each virtue that you acquire, you bring out the God self or Allah within. Okay, and remember in the Bible, in the Holy Koran, Jesus lets us know that we will do the things that he's done as well, and even greater things. So this template that Jesus left for us, that the prophet left for us, this is to pull out the potential within all of us. All right, and if we're working on these, nothing can take us down, nothing outside of us. All right, so ultimately, the lessons are about self-mastery, for real, for real. Not just for talk, not just for say, not just to sound smart. It's about self-mastery. And I understand that everybody is not ready for that message. Some people may be ready for that in a few years or so, but more than likely, since you're here, you're ready. And you know, it doesn't matter how long it takes, but that's what this is about, self-mastery. Because nothing formed against us, you know, can prosper if we're on this path. All right, and then just going back in here, we're given the duties of the husband, and it's to remember your own imperfections, cherish and respect your wife, and produce children. And also, the husband has to make her a partner of his cares and instruct his children to climb the 12-step ladder of virtues. So we're not supposed to just study this, or, you know, we're supposed to pass this on to our children as well. All right. And then in return, your child will be grateful, assist, and support their parents in the decline of life, which is what chapter 24, is hitting on. Islam. If anyone has any questions or anything they want to add to this, feel free to speak. I'll yield the floor.
Islam, I just want to kind of give out what I got from it. Cliche says it takes a village to raise a child, and you know it's kind of important for balance. It's really important for balance to be in the household, because you know, plain and simple, like, you are the reflection of your household. You know, they always said that in school. You know, to kind of correct us or whatever. The school that I went to. But that was kind of like a part of, you know, really understanding who you are, like really staying close to the family, things like that. Islam. Yeah.
Right, Islam. Thank you, brother. Islam. Does anyone else have anything they want to share? Any questions or anything? All right. So, you know, in many ways, what the prophet was doing with the Moorish Science Temple of America is trying to remove the influences of slavery, right? You had actual physical slavery, but then you had mental slavery, and it's still going on. And then it's not so much of what everybody might think of as slavery. It's taking on the mentality of other people, of Europeans, right? Taking on their mentality and then destroying ourselves. So the prophet is basically reestablishing our relationship with our true creator and helping us to return to our divine nature so that we can take our rightful place in the affairs of man. Islam.
Islam. If I may, I would like to just add on to chapter 24. The prophet is telling us to learn wisdom, obedience, respect, gratitude, and assistance. Islam. And to our parents and grandparents, I mean, that's just like honoring our forefathers, because as we continue to have children and generations to come, we have to teach them our way of living. We have to teach them Islamism. We have to teach them the holy and divine instructions so that our society can continue to not only grow but be successful in the new world. Islam.
Islam, Islam, and that's why this like Islamism, this body of knowledge that we have, like you can't have a body of knowledge without a tradition or a history to it because it's unreliable, right? And so that's why it's important to have an actual structure and system as we have now, and so that not only can you learn it, but you can pass this on. You can teach this to your children, and so that we have something strong to stand on, right? And so when you're teaching our people their nationality, we're teaching them certain aspects of their history, but we're teaching also their divine creed, because the divine creed is teaching them the possibilities of man, right? Bringing out Allah in man, bringing out the potential, the greater potential that we have, right? So we're standing on something that's divine. We have a holy and divine purpose, right? And so, it also pushes us to go even further than we thought we could go. This is how, when you look back and you see, like, if you look in the Middle East and see, like, or even in Spain and North Africa, the designs of like the mosque and some of the things that are still up that the Moors built, and it's so intricate, and it's just like amazing because it's like mathematically in tune with nature and all these different aspects. And it's amazing how they did that in the pyramids and all of these things. And the reason they could do that is because they had a divine purpose that made them push further than people thought was possible, right? And it made them reach to at least to connect to their divine nature and to pull out the Allah that's within them, right? And so that's what we're going back to, and that's what we need. Right now in the state that our people are in, it's like this is the only solution. People that are trying to leave this part out, and they're like, oh, religion, I'm not with the religion. It's like, you don't really get what religion is or what this is about. Like, you can't leave this part out. This is extremely important. And so I yield the floor. That's all that I had to say on this chapter. But once again, if anyone else has any questions, or even if it's not related to this chapter or any statements, feel free to speak up before we go into the closing of the meeting.
Islam, real quick, I just wanted to go back on the word creed. I looked it up, and it's defined as article or statement of belief, confession of faith. And then you go to what a doctrine is, and it's the body of principles, in the field of knowledge. And religion is a state of life bound by monastic vows, you know, something that's divine. Islam.
Islam. So definitely nothing wrong with that. Anybody else have any thing they wanted to say? All right. So convention is in 1 week, from the 15th to the 20th. And Sister Douglas L., do you have any announcements? All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into the closing of the meeting. Is Brother Jackson Bay on the call? Right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read the additional additional laws. Questionnaire and additional laws for Moorish Americans by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADEP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must conform himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching their people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. And Islam, Brother Kobe, would you please read the writs?
Islam, I rise and give perfect praise to great God Allah. Rise and give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Rise and give props to all Muslims on this holy day. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Jew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can so they may disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that pay their divine respects to me, and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is instructions from your prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Jew Ali, and that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, least they will be confined of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles and your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good works. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. Okay, excuse me, I want to announce without further ado, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. Thank you all for coming in. Right, all meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Unless anybody has any questions, we're going to go ahead and close. Right. Please rise and face the east. You do not need to repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name, in the seven Elohim. Amen. All right, Islam, Muslims, happy holy day.
Praise Allah.
Peace and love.
Happy holiday. Peace and love.
Happy holy day, peace and love.
Happy holy day.
Islam Sheik. Islam.
Islam.
Just a few words, brother. For the background check, all I have to do is prove to or show proof that I'm doing this for religious purposes, or do I have to show proof when I get my driver's license corrected?
Okay. Are they asking for proof at the courthouse? Because we could give you proof. I mean, are they asking for it? Because they shouldn't even.
No, I was just double checking, just kind of.
Nah, yeah, they shouldn't. They didn't. I mean, I'm in a different county, but they didn't ask us. Yeah, Jackson Bay did it. They shouldn't ask you for anything extra.
Right. So as far as like payments and everything, we still have to pay the court fees and everything too.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, because so I was doing some research or whatever on nationality, of course, with your video, and I kind of did some other research too, and basically it was just explaining like we don't really have to pay court fees. We just proclaim who we are through the temple, and that's it. Is that true, or is there a cost to Islam?
Yeah, that's true. But if you want your name like to be your title on your name like recognized officially, at this point in time, you have to go through the county, the local government.
So okay, yeah, and that's what their policies are.
Yes.
Just following and abiding by that. Okay.
Yeah, like their policy is doing a name change and going through.
The main thing, I guess, what I'm trying to get is that you don't want to cause any confusion, and just based off, just go with what their policies are, and just move forward from there.
Yeah, and you don't have to volunteer any extra information. I'm just like, right. This is for my religion, period, and that's it. And there shouldn't even be any extra questions asked either.
Islam. I appreciate that. That's all I had to say. Happy Holy Day.
All right, happy Holy Day.
Peace and love. Islam.
All right. Peace and love.